Padmasana, the lotus posture, is a full body mudra. The tongue pressing the roof of the mouth, that's a mudra. The eyes focused upward, that's a mudra. You can do it with your eyes closed.
You can do it with your eyes closed.
Yes.
Yes.
The idea of a mudra is to align your energy and contain it. It's almost like a psychic protection mechanism, you could say. It protects it basically channels the prana in your body to prevent your mind from taking you out of what you're trying to do. Because if anyone's ever tried to sit and meditate like this, you get tired, right? To hold that position for a period of time, it's tiring. Over time, the energy gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and it starts to feel magnetic, actually, almost like you can't get out of it. And that's the idea, is it sort of locks your energy into place so that you can go deeper and deeper into your physiology without distraction. It's very cool. It's a to understand this is a very, very cool thing, because we're unblocking what I call the ecstatic channels in the body. You're built for ecstasy. We all are. We're built for bliss. Hardwired for it, actually. And a lot of that bliss is scattered around us in our life. Like, living life is a love affair. It's an ecstatic love affair. Everything is pleasurable. Like, our senses love beautiful things. Things are beautiful, things taste good, things smell good. But what happens when that energy of bliss is turned inward? And all of the senses that are normally directed outward, if all of that energy is turned inward for a time, and that capacity for bliss is enveloped in itself, the highest bliss is available inside of us. Like experiencing the cosmic orgasm. There's a bliss and a pleasure far greater than that which can be attained through the senses. And this is we have to train our senses to be able to turn in and perceive these subtler and subtler realms. So Mahamudra is classically, like we see in the HYP, it's also in the Granda Samhita, which is another Hatha Yoga text that came several hundred years later, the Shiva Samhita. It's mentioned in Tantric Buddhist texts. And it is, again, the Great Seal. Let me explain. Well, did anyone notice anything there in what the HYP said that was just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What'd you see?
It should be kept secret.
It should be kept secret.
By every effort.
Yeah. When I was initiated into the Kriya Yoga lineage, they were like, you can't teach this to anybody. And I was just like, but it's great. Yeah. I was just like, it's so good. Why not? I mean, I understand on some level, like there's a point, I suppose, to keeping practices secret. And I feel also, I have mixed feelings about it. I think there's a time and a place to share certain things and with certain people and with particular reasons and intentionality behind it. You could teach Mahamudra as Janu Shirsasana in a regular yoga class and not say anything more about it, and people would still get the benefits, right? I mean, it's taught in lots of yoga classes, Janu Shirsasana. What makes it Mahamudra, I will demonstrate for y'all. Come gather around, and we're gonna workshop this one. So firstly, we have the heel and the perineum. Why that's important is because at the base of your spine, right where your perineum is, everyone knows perineum? Mm-hmm. Okay. Does anyone not know perineum?
I have a hard time figuring that out exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Okay.
But you know perineum?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So one of the things is that the perineum, sometimes our perineum's kind of like forward like that. What we want to do is to get the perineum to be straight down, because that the end of the I think what is it called, the KotE YTT. Thank you, KotE YTT. There's a bundle of nerves that go down through the tailbone, and then it's like a massive ball of energy being dispersed down, and by putting your heel underneath that area, all of those nerves and that traffic, the electrical stimuli from the brainstem going down the spine, it rebounds back up. So it acts like a plug for energy. And so that right there is a mudra. Remember, seal. That's a seal. It's like a cork stopping the displacement of that energy. So right away you get to harvest all of the goods that are normally sent down and out, and you're getting a rebound happening. Secondly, if your knee, this knee is kind of like you're trying to get that knee to move away from your hip. So if you were standing in tree pose and you were just like that, your tree would be a lot less stable, as opposed to getting that kneecap and that thigh to move away from you. You see the difference there? So it's like I'm lengthening in that area. Same thing with that right heel bone. So my right heel bone is moving away, and then just from that alone, I'm already like the pyramid base of my body is wider. I feel more connected to the earth. And this right here is already strong. Like I'm already like kind of shaking a little bit. And I can feel that my energy is being withdrawn. I'm not like that. It's not like scattered around. It's actually getting pulled in to a central position just from that alone.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
When you're having your left knee come away,
Mm-hmm.
are you actually pushing with your left foot, or are you pulling with your left
I'm
knee?
pulling with my left thigh.
Thigh, okay.
Yeah.
The foot can't really push away because it's in the perineum.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But the foot and the inner thigh are kind of squeezing in too.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
The width of how far apart your legs are, is that dependent on how stable you can be in the pressing outwards? Like, will that help determine?
Yes. You're
how
meaning
you set your legs?
you're meaning like this
Mhm.
or like this.
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
If you notice Krishnamacharya, he's quite wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just noticed I'm very narrow, but that
Mhm.
is definitely where it feels best in my body.
More stable.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you're trying to get a good pyramid base. So that's when I'm saying set up for set up for warrior one, set up for lunge, set up for Mahamudra. What I'm really saying is like prepare yourself to be stable so that when you go into your vinyasa, it's not sloppy. You see that? So if I'm like, all right, now set up for Mahamudra. If it was a sweaty, hot vinyasa class with hot music, I'd be like, all right, go. And you just see people like just kind of flailing. You know what I mean? So like set up the shape, be grounded in it, feel the earth, feel your stability. We did, today we worked with Jalandhara Bandha. We'll get to that next week. But did you guys feel the difference keeping the chin on the chest? Oh, yeah. You notice what happens in the spine?
It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I have a
Yeah.
question about that too.
With the chin? Yeah, yeah.
Jaw open or closed, or does it matter?
Jaw closed. Yeah, you mean mouth closed? Or, yeah, yeah.
Wait, is your tongue?
Oh, yes.
So if your tongue is that,
It opens your teeth.
You're gonna have a little space between your teeth. Mm-hmm.
your mouth is closed.
Mouth is closed. Mm-hmm. So let me just come get closer, and I'm just gonna demonstrate, and I want you to try to observe the prana in my body. Try to like really pay attention to how energy is moving when I do this. And you'll have to even get closer so you can hear my breath.
Are you sitting on your heel, or is it just pressing in front of the anterior portion of your perineal floor?
It's just pressing on the anterior portion. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Did you guys observe? You,
Grace and intensity at the same time.
yeah. There's so much energy in my body when I'm doing that. Like I'm like lit up like a Christmas tree. Like I can feel all my entire nervous system. I can feel all the little parts of me just like, yeah. What were you gonna say, Tallulah?
That I understand that you're saying like really breathe into this space, because I feel like that is what helps you, that's what lifts you rather than your back, your spine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were paying attention, you could see, you probably saw that it's my breath that's moving my body. Could you see that? You could observe it, right? Yeah,
Was your tongue the whole time?
the whole time.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I thought I wasn't sure if it was on an exhale, let it go. So
Mhm.
you're holding that tongue the whole way.
The whole time.
Yeah, I was having crazy amounts of pain. I didn't get my leg didn't bother me at all. I
Mhm.
know I was not in the right position, but I was feeling it
In
intensely
the QL,
in there.
this area,
It was
right?
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
only on one side.
So your quadratus lumborum, that muscle there, connects to the lower ribs to the pelvis. And that is also getting a really good, especially when you're breathing. So to your point, Willow, as you're coming down, and you guys will everyone has a different arrangement of what this looks like for them. But the finished product where you want to go after, so your vinyasa is to, in almost all cases, your vinyasa is to set up the correct sequence of muscular action to hold a static pose and for it to be a yoga pose. Does it make sense? My vinyasa, because I'm inhaling, it's activating certain muscle groups when I'm inhaling, and when I'm exhaling, the opposite muscle groups activate, and the muscles I just activated now relax. That is what we hatha, right? We're creating a balance between the front and the back, the side to side. So as I'm lifting, there's different muscles. Oh, you guys get the point. I don't have to belabor that, right? Okay. And so when I come down, I'm fully activated in the front and back body. I'm like sandwiching the two together. And so now my job is just to use the breath to facilitate the flow of energy in the body. So from here, I can inhale. And like at the top of the inhale, all the energy is just rising up my spine and it's just taking me with it. Like I'm not actively lifting my eyes or pressing my tongue. It's just happening because the energy is moving in that direction.
Do you feel tension in your eyes or in your forehead when you're there?
I used to,
Okay.
yeah.
So
And
they'll
you
pass.
will, yeah, you will feel fatigue. And they talk about the knots. There's psychic knots in these areas that as you practice, they start to kind of untangle. And you'll feel like practicing in this way, you'll go through periods of major unblock, like the removal of major blockages in the body. And it's like a storm comes through and just like cleans out the drains, basically. And so we're here. I did the Antir Kumbhaka. We'll get to Kumbhaka next week, but about the breath retention. So I inhale up, right? And then I swallow because that blocks my throat.
I have a question about the swallowing.
Yeah.
I like can't swallow before I do it, otherwise it like chokes me out.
Mm-hmm. Do you try?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it making any progress at all?
Mm-mm.
No. I would say just keep playing with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there is purpose to the swallowing.
It moves the tongue back so that you can really get that notch there. I used to not do it until, I can't remember, some teacher of mine recommended it and I started practicing with it. Oh, that's right. Gregor Malay or something. I just read his book, so he never like instructed me in person. It's still an experiment for me. It feels good because it stops the air from moving up into my head. Whose question was that? Yours? Yeah. It stops the air from moving up into my head, and it keeps this section inflated. So I'm there, I'm playing with the kumbhaka, my tongue is up, my eyes are up. You notice the back of my spine? right? What did it say in the HYP?
Straight like a snake whipped or something.
Snake struck by a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yeah. So then I release the chin, I exhale. What did it say about the exhale in the HYP? Slowly, not violently.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you're holding these kumbakas and you're dealing with that amount of energy, you'll go. That means that you're either you held it too long, you were too aggressive with your hold, or you just didn't pay attention as you release the chin. Gently, gently. And then you get to the end of the exhale. We're going to get to Uddiyana Bandha next week when we get to fire element. But Uddiyana Bandha is the... You see that? And I'm not doing anything with my chin, just drawing in here. It's causing my body to... It's a pressure thing.
So what's the posture itself? You're doing your vinyasa, getting yourself into the pose.
Correct.
And at that, because I'm getting confused with all of these different holds and that I'm not completely clear on yet.
Yep.
So in the simplest form, getting into that position, you would breathe just normally?
Yes.
Okay. And then so to address my side, is it just, because I couldn't find any way to relieve that, even when I was just like barely moving over.
Just here.
Yeah, and I'm incredibly flexible, but whatever was happening in this side, it was like painful, and I didn't know whether, okay, that's just something I need to work out, and it was only on one side.
When we break to teach and you have a partner teaching you, I'm going to come over and do some hands-on stuff with you. Mahamudra.
And how do you navigate your perineum? How do you know if you're in the right spot?
So, just so we're all clear on the definition of perineum, butthole. Or what is a more technical? Anus.
I like butthole.
Butthole. The anus, and then your generative organs, genitals. Right? You have that and then that. The perineum exists in between the two. It's the bridge. It's the gooch. So I like to go I like to set it up, and then I like to just kind of position myself, and and over time that area will actually unblock, like the cartilage and the connective tissue in there starts to kind of get more malleable, and that's a really good indicator that the nerves and the tissue is really healthy down there. And so if it's super sensitive right now, just take note of that. Try not to be too aggressive. And it's just like get the anterior side of it, like Tracy, you're exploring right now. Do you feel? Yeah. And we'll get a chance to all explore together, but that's, yeah.
I definitely couldn't get anywhere near it.
Okay, and this also is a flexibility thing here. And that's a flexibility in the internal rotators of the hip, the external rotators of the hip, to some degree your ankle and your foot also. So, and it does take time to really get it in there. So in the process of getting it there, it's okay if it's kind of in front with the intention of moving it.
Because it's on my thigh.
Right. And which, is that your side where the QL is hurting?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And then you can get it closer in on that side. Right.
Okay.
Where, quite a bit different.
Yeah, very different.
So there's some imbalance in that left hip.
I had a bad injury on this right ankle that has definitely affected my...
Interesting.
Also,
Yeah. You and then you.
the other leg, if you play with, that's why I bring it more narrow too, and that's why it feels better to bring it more narrow, is because the heel in the perineum is more accessible when this is like more vertical in front of me rather than way out here.
And it's totally okay to have a block under that thigh or under that knee. In fact, Kaylee was always practicing like this because that was what felt good for her.
I still do.
And she still does.
Would you put something under your butt?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That might be helpful.
Yes. Yeah, Michelle.
If we have a client who has had an episiotomy, is there anything that we need to do?
A what?
Episiotomy.
cut for childbirth.
Oh, okay.
area.
A episiotomy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, is there anything we need to be aware of to let them know about, or not really?
I don't know.
I mean, it would kind of be like the C-section question.
If it's within the time that they've been healed, so past the 6-week or 8-week period of the episiotomy, it's good to have pressure, massage, and movement in that area. It actually helps to heal it and bring blood flow and sensation back.
Bam.
So no change.
Cool.
Yeah,
Probably
Cool.
preventing scar tissue too.
exactly.
And
Awesome.
probably practicing gentler because scar tissue is going to have a less elasticity. So
Yeah.
particularly like a fresh episiotomy, even in that 8 to 12 weeks, you don't want a full extension with pressure. You really want to think about like fresh tissue that's not as vital.
Yeah. Yeah. So just self-pacing accordingly. The principle of self-pacing has a very broad umbrella that can really touch on almost all of the, what we call them, contraindications. Self-pacing is just the way to be like, how do I adapt this to fit the needs of this person? Because the technique is just, it's just the technique. It's just, and that's why I was also going to say when when I'm inviting you to practice with the stomach, and we get to this next week, you might not, especially women on your moon cycle, you might not be like this. Could you imagine? You're right.
Enough going on down there.
Because what that does, when we'll get there, I don't want to cover it completely, but Uddiyana Bandha is the capturing of the apana to direct it upward so it can be joined with the prana. And when you're on your moon cycle, apana is dominating your body. It's going out, and you want to facilitate that process. Doesn't mean it can't be done in the same, not the same way, but with a much different application. Yeah, much different application. So you might look like this. Almost non-existent, but still happening. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And thank you for honoring yourself in that situation. It's almost, it seems like it's obvious, but sometimes it needs to be said. Yeah. Yeah, because from here, we transition most of the time straight into a good, because you're like, whoa, I feel strong now, right? And then all your pranayamas, all the kriyas that you do after that are boom. Yeah. If you, or as you develop as practitioners, if you're getting up every morning and you're doing your practices, you might find that you just want to go straight into a Maha Mudra, do it both sides, and then go straight into a breathing. Totally possible. That's years down the road of doing sequences and vinyasas that create the stability. Your system will tell you though. Yeah, it'll be like you don't need 30 minutes or 45 or 50 minutes of asana today. You actually just need to breathe because you've like produced the result, and now you get to really reap the benefits of that. Does that make sense? That's why consistency with the same practices is so amazing, because you kind of get to then you can just focus on the higher stuff. Remember, there's a goal that we're after, and once that goal starts to become more and more accessible to us, it's like, shit. I've been on retreats where I just get up and I go straight into my kriyas. I don't do any, this is the asana, right? This is what I'm trying to get to anyways. Yeah, one more.
So are you aware of oh, today my right foot's on top of my left. Oh, tomorrow my left's going to be on top. Are you aware of your habit, or are you always trying to change up what leg crosses over what?
Did you guys hear Tracy? Changing up the legs? I am definitely aware of my habit, to answer your question. And I just don't really change it very much. Sometimes I do. And I've heard opinions of that it doesn't matter. I've heard opinions that you should change it up every day. I've actually heard, I was talking about that Gregor guy, he talks about how you use I can't remember, there's a way to count it, and you do 3 days like this and 3 days like this, and then alternate on moon days or something like that. So there's all these complexities, but it's you'll kind of know. That's my best suggestion on it.
I play with mine
There's in tradition they say men do the right leg first, and then women do the left leg first. Yeah.
That's interesting because the left side's female and the right side's masculine.
So I'm like experiment. Yes, Tallulah.
Do you have an imbalance in one side?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna, if you didn't, then
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah. But
I mean, do you guys want to see the difference? So this is how I normally am sitting. I got that there. This is what's most comfortable for me. I can do maybe 30 minutes without adjusting my seat here. Right side first. And if I were to do, let's see, left side first. See if you can note, is there a visual difference that you see?
yeah.
It's pretty significant, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
That was a question I had for a
Yeah.
couple days.
Yeah, it's a good question. So Mahamudra, clear, right? Epic posture, epic sequence, epic tool in your arsenal.
How long would you stay in that position?
And-
Like as a starting point?
Mhm.
There's a certain amount of breaths or
I like to do, for some reason I just gravitate to fours. I like to do a vinyasa for 4, and then I like to stay for at least 4 breaths.
okay.
I have explored like 10 minutes or more in postures. If you guys smoke a little pot, you might just end up there for just say,
2 hours. Yeah.
just saying. You'll be like, man, how long have I been here? This just feels so good. Om Namah Shivaya. just saying. There, yeah.
Maybe later.
Okay.
Like, just the practice of using cannabis in yoga. I want to know if there's history to that. You can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Short answer, yes, there is. Yeah. The not the babas, the guys covered in ash and they're naked. They smoke big chillums all day long. I don't know how they do it. If I smoked a big chillum all day long, I would not be doing this stuff. You know, but I have experienced personally the benefits of taking a small toke and then going into a healing practice for myself. Purely to feel myself more and to be able to really sense what's happening internally. I find that cannabis helps me with that. It's not something that I recommend for everybody. I'm like, everybody needs to smoke weed. But it is a plant medicine and it has its use and it can be used, I think, in